the real estate podcast that keeps you in the mix of everything. I'm Noelle Frieson with the Center for Real Estate Education.
I'm Eric Anderson, Alexander Anderson Real Estate Group.
And today we're going to be talking about
partnerships. Woohoo!
It takes two
to make a thing go right.
Woo!
I was a DJ for a week, and that was one of the songs I played. Remember that?
So, Eric, are you pro partnership, or do you think partnerships suck? Now, remember, I'm one of your partners.
Partnerships are like a fine restaurant. Some are really good, and some suck. So it's really about what you put into it, knowing who it is you're partnering with. I like to kind of date the partner before I actually commit to the marriage, but we'll talk about that.
So you like to try the milk before you buy the cow?
What if they don't put out?
That's a problem sometimes.
So you can't do business with Eric then.
And you've had all...
I forgot. According to comments on YouTube, I have to tone down my sarcasm.
So, wait. Okay, guys. So you've had all sorts of partnerships within real estate. And guys, we're not talking about your relationship partners.
Although that is a partnership, but yes.
We can talk about...
There's no sex involved.
We can talk about, husband-wife partnerships and like when you do things with people that you're really close to. But you've been involved in a lot of partnerships. What's the main point that you think people should know when they get a partner?
Communication. That's probably the number one thing. Communicate with your partner and make sure you both are on have the same goals.
Well, it is sort of like a marriage. It is sort of like a marriage. Well, we have our power panel here today.
Yes, let's introduce them.
As always, we have my love, Adam Sperber.
I was hoping you were going to say me.
Yeah, that took a left-hand turn. I thought we were going straight to me.
He is the VP of Residential Real Estate at Alexander Anderson Real Estate Group. And to my left, we have Omar Sharif, who is the VP of Alexander Anderson Capital Group. And of course, we have my rock star deal maker and managing partner at Ameri law firm, Nima Ameri.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
All right, guys. Awesome. So do you agree or disagree that partnerships are really, that you need partnerships in real estate? And tell me about a partnership that just rocked your world.
Wow.
In a good or bad way?
Rocked your world. It could rock your way in a good way. It could rock your way in a bad way.
Yeah.
Okay.
30 seconds or less. Go. You start.
It's impossible to say in 30 seconds. So I'm predominantly partner averse. And
really?
Yeah. And the reason for that is you need to share the same vision of what you want that project to be in a period of time. And also, when you have good deals with upside and you can fund it yourself, typically you don't want to share, right? I'm very selective about if I partner with someone. And I had a nightmare story. A friend of mine on a social level got some leads and wanted to get into flipping. And he wanted to partner up with me on the transactions. And I said, okay, that's not bad. I didn't find the deals. I didn't love the deals, but he was my friend. He wanted to do something with me, wanted some of my expertise, and candidly didn't make much of a difference for me because the original framework involved him putting out the money. And that took a horrible turn. Ultimately, while we made money on both projects, we would have made a lot more, and it pretty much ended our relationship, right? Because after he realized what it takes to do the projects, and I was supposed to be the brains, the knowledge, and all of that, and it takes more time than he expected because his real estate agent misled him. Well, then he's like, well, you need to put in your capital. And I said, that wasn't the deal. Not a problem. Put up my share, 50%. I'm already in it. It's just money, right? Relationships are more important. But what really caused us to really butt heads was management of the project. So while I was brought on specifically to handle that aspect of it, and I brought on certain people, and I'm a generous person, so I don't mind.
Not to pat yourself on the back.
No, I gave one of the contractors who I knew well, I gave him some equity because we were doing two projects, and he gave us a really good price on the other. So I said, look, I'll give you some equity on the deals, just get this done in time. Fortunately, he got busy, he subbed it out, and we dealt with these other contractors. I also, while I'm generous, may not be the nicest person, right? I'm not mean, but I'm honest. And apparently I made the contractor cry a couple times.
You made the contractor, you made the grown man cry, basically.
Yeah. And I'm not I didn't
Lawyers
go,
have the ability to do that.
well, look, he was being an asshole, right? Like, I'm not born yesterday. I know what things cost. And the problem was, well, my partner thought he was getting a deal because this guy was pitching to him that he's getting a deal and saying, okay, this is what I'm charging per day. Guys, having a per day person doesn't work if you don't control the productivity.
Right.
Most of the time, you're better off on a flat contract. So halfway into the job, I'm like, we are nowhere on budget. You guys don't realize this, but this is a disaster. And the only people making money right now are these 3 people who show up every day and just hang out for 2 hours. And their guy just talking about how technical their work is.
So wait, you didn't. So at the end of the day, you didn't make the money. But what was the problem with you guys, with you and your?
So
friend?
as the project took longer, because the contractors were taking longer, when money's involved, right, people start getting agitated and antsy, right? And my position, and I was becoming a little argumentative because I was watching any profits I had in the project get dissipated by the fact that I was being told you can't push the contractors, you can't be on top of them. Like that's important to me. Like doing things on an inexpensive manner is how you make money. You don't make money just leaving the job and bleeding. And at one point I said, listen, like we have 2 separate management techniques. We're already up on the project. This is my exact dollar to the penny in. Pay me and I'm out of the projects.
So what was your issue? Was it a management? Give us the number 1 or number 2 reasons that partnership
communication.
didn't work out.
So
communication.
Yeah, communication.
What about management style?
It's completely different.
Okay.
And at the end, the fall apart was when by the time we had listed it, we weren't even talking. I had completely stepped away. I said, do whatever you guys want. I literally wrote on a piece of paper, this is the numbers you guys are going to end up with. And we were about 10 grand off of what I wrote.
How long did you know this person before you went to partnership?
Almost a decade.
Was he a family friend?
No.
Okay.
I should have known. We were just too different. Like he wasn't in real estate, right? He was in financial markets. He was in the stock market. And he had certain, behavioral habits that should have been triggers that like, look, this guy's not maybe necessarily the right.
It meshed with you.
Well, no, not the right mentality to be in a real estate transaction. Because while you need patience, you also need to have foresight. And people who get angry quickly, it's a very hard mixture. Like you need to keep your eye on the prize, and that prize is your project having value.
So did your gut tell you not to go into partnership, and you went against your gut?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Never.
No, that's not true.
Guy.
I'm saying that now, sitting across the end of it. I don't remember at the time what my gut said. I think if I really felt against it, I wouldn't have done it. I honestly thought that it would, like, how hard could it be? It's just a property, right?
Was that one of your first that you did on your own? Or
no, I had done a bunch on my own.
Okay.
Yeah, this was like 4 or 5. It was right before COVID.
Because one of the things about partnerships is that it's much easier to jump off a bridge when you have someone else holding your hand. Okay. So there's a lot of people out there, and we're going to talk about this today, is that having a partner will actually enable you to do something. So obviously you didn't need that here.
Yeah. So again, and that's 100% right.
He was actually trying to hold your hand to jump off the bridge. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, he had no knowledge. He had never done a real estate transaction before. And I think the pressure of things changing, things going wrong, and the constant need of capital really began taxing him. And then, when you have to make these administrative decisions, because guys, we've talked about this in the first few episodes, things are hunky-dory, but they don't go smoothly. All of a sudden, like the inspectors show up 3 months late. Like these are things that, if you're in the business, you get it. It doesn't freak you out. Yeah. But other people get nervous about it, and then they just don't know how to handle those emotions because they're not used to the transaction. And guys, flipping real estate on the quick is not an easy thing to do. You need to be organized, right?
Yeah.
So Omar, tell us about your partnerships, or one of your partnerships that try to give us a more positive spin, because you gave us the negative spin.
No, I've had I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I've had good partnerships. This is just the one that went sour, right? And the good partnerships are usually different, and they're for when you're on longer term holds and things like that, because there's not a lot of that anxiety and pressure, right?
Okay.
Right, because you have the hand to hold.
So our goal from today is to go over some different partnership experiences, then to give guidelines on what to look for in a good partner, and then to help you understand that partnerships are not always a bad thing.
Yeah. So
they're not.
Similar to Nima, I'm also partner averse, but I've realized that the right partnership is worth everything. So I'm better at spending more time weeding out, or as Eric put it, dating the partner before I decide to go into a partnership. I've had good experiences. I've had similar experiences to what Nima just described with flipping a house, everything going wrong. And then it's just part of the learning curve. So,
Omar, how do you date? Tell me your moves, sweetie.
For all those girls out there.
That's a good question. So I I think the proposition comes first, right? What are we trying to get done? And what am I bringing to the table, and what's the other person bringing to the table? And I used to see it, and a lot of people think it's 50-50, but it really isn't. It's 100% and 100%. And I'm not looking to split anything down the middle. I'm just looking to get it done. If the person's not available, I'll do it. I don't get into those discussions anymore.
Dead on.
Dead on. Even when it comes to responsibilities and tasks that need to be done, I don't want to have those conversations that I did X, you did whatever the other case might be.
Why?
Yeah, either way.
But you're both in it for the same goal at the
Same
end.
goal, yeah. Now, if it's a bad partnership, it's going to manifest in a lot of different ways. It's not so much I'm doing more than you. It's more like you're just not, you're ruining the partnership more than anything.
So what was your number one, out of that one
that
partnership, what were like, so for Nima, it was the management style was different, the communication. What were your issues with that?
So one that went down, terrible partnership, was when I first started flipping houses, I partnered, not even partnered, but the GC I hired was a good friend of mine. And he had multiple projects going on, and he volunteered to say, you know what, I'll GC your project because I already have the crew, I have this, whatever. And he wanted to partner with me on future deals. Long story short, I gave it to him, trusting him. And not only did he lie about the numbers, but he started, I had an Excel sheet that he didn't know how I was tracking it, but every now and then he would just mess up the numbers, inflate the costs, inflate the expenses, and not tell me about it.
So he was cheating.
Yeah, so he was just a
Blatantly.
bad person. He
Yeah,
was
so
evil.
blatantly doing that. But he was pocketing his fees, and I'm like, why don't you just tell me that you're looking to make X? Like, why do you have to do it this way? So I called him out on it. My project got ruined. I had to replace him, and it was a nightmare. It was a really bad
All
situation.
right, so that's a dishonest issue.
Yeah, but it didn't come off that way. It wasn't blatantly dishonest. It was
But
him,
it was. That's
because
stealing.
it is, but from his point of view, he was adding his markup, but he wasn't keeping track of the budget. So instead of telling me up front that this is what my fee is, this is what my budget is, he would go and just keep increasing the numbers, and I would tell him, look, we're going way past our budget. So he didn't have my interest at stake at all. It was just him getting paid.
So it was win-win for him, right? He was just going to make
Right.
money anyway, and the project lost money, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Can I change my answer? Actually, what Omar
We're
said.
going to come back to you multiple times.
we're gonna-
Yeah.
You're going to have multiple opportunities to.
Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna say this one thing. Omar's answer was better than mine. I rescind mine and I adopt Omar's 100.
Nice.
100. Yeah, that is good. And we can talk about the 100.
The 100 rule. I like that.
100.
Yeah.
You just started a new thing
Nice.
here.
Yay.
But you both need to rescind.
Yay.
Rescind the
Yay,
position.
Omar.
Off to a good start.
Okay, so now
Yes.
you're in residential real estate, and partnerships can look a little bit different than in investments. Talk
Correct.
about that.
So-
and
so-
are you pro or con?
So on my end, it's a different style of partnership. So you guys are partnering when it comes to investments. Maybe you're, I don't know, partnering with a contractor, partnering with somebody like that. For me, it's a little bit of a different animal. It's more partnerships when it comes to attorneys, when it comes to title companies, when it comes to lenders, when it comes to inspectors, the whole package. So these are people that you're going to use over and over and over again. So building partnerships with them is going to get you more leads. It's going to give you more deals. It's going to make things work better for you. So, I know I discussed last week, one of the things is building a relationship. It's a partnership with other realtors.
Right.
So yes, you are technically competing with these other realtors. When you're a realtor, you're competing with somebody else for the same listing. But there's times when you want to be friends with them because they're going to be able to help push your offer through.
So you're the one who dates around.
Yes.
You date a whole
Don't
bunch
tell
of
Adam's
different
wife.
people.
Jacqueline, if you're watching.
You played yourself.
But yeah, that's just really it. Like you have to make friends with all these people, and you have to make friends with everybody. It's a different style of partnership. It still is a partnership, but like you said, you gotta date around. You gotta, there's gonna be all different styles of realtors. You gotta work closely with them because, like I said, they're gonna be the gatekeeper, and they're gonna be the ones that help you whether or not your offer gets approved or they take somebody else's.
So wait, are you saying try before you buy? And are you saying, do you have like a couple tests that you do to see if you actually can move that person into the partnership status?
Well, I mean, it's
Try
before you buy, right? So it's different though, because when, let's say you're representing a buyer. When you're representing a buyer, you don't really have any choice but to partner with the listing agent on that property. You don't have a choice. So you have to just find a way to work with them regardless of their style. And that's it. You don't really have a choice. because otherwise your client, your buyer is not going to get this house.
But what about mortgage brokers or
Mortgage,
title?
exactly. So that's a different aspect, because you want to work with somebody that's going to get the deal done, and it's going to help take some of the load off of your back, so you can go out and do other work. You want them to actually do some of the work. You don't want to have to call them constantly and say, hey, where are we with this? So yes, 100%. When it comes to a lender, try before you buy. Make sure that you mesh well, that they're going to be responsive, that you're not going to look like a jerk for recommending them. Because if you recommend a bad lender and your buyer has a bad experience with them, they're going to be upset at you just as much as they're going to be upset at the lender.
That's true. Do you ever get anything, and this could be illegal, so if it is, just shut me up. Do they ever give anything to you? Like, can they buy you stuff? Can they pay for things? Can they give you money?
That's a different topic.
You sugar mommy, you.
Hit the buzzer for me.
I like steak dinners.
Can they make it worth
you
your
can.
while?
You can.
As the broker for a real estate company, no, there are no kickbacks.
There's no kickbacks.
I don't
but
like that word.
You can have shared marketing expenses. You can have shared marketing expenses with like a lender. So
look, what we think here are assumptions, and I think everyone has different marketing thought processes and categories, and you should consult your local attorney based off of wherever you live to determine whether there are other ways to work on.
But but you can, like, let's say you're buying leads from different sources and things like that. There's I think it all has to fit into RESPA, real estate settle.
Yeah, again, guys, I think on this topic you should definitely
I
consult
was
your.
There's certain regulations, but you are, in some cases, you are allowed to co-market with lenders and with different companies, but there's certain rules you have to abide by. They can't pay 100% of your marketing.
Dinners. Got it.
So you could basically, Adam could partner up with a mortgage company, and they could both advertise their services together in a joint page in a newspaper.
Assuming that
they
is
both
lawful
pay
in your
half.
jurisdiction.
Yeah, all right, there you go. Anyway,
Okay, we'll
next.
move on. We'll move forward.
So I want to talk about some partnerships. So
Okay.
I'm going to be 50 in like 30 days. And
Minute.
it's less than a minute, actually. But so I've had probably like 10 or 15 different partnerships in my life. I've had some amazing partnerships, and I've had some challenging, aka shitty, disastrous partnerships. So
be like that, Omar.
one of the things you have to look at, right? And if you don't try things in life, you don't learn. So Noelle may say to me, don't do this, right? But if I'm a young person, if I'm like 30 or 20 or whatever, and Noelle's like, don't do this, I'm the type of person that wants to learn for myself, because I don't care what anyone else says. I still need to learn and understand and get all the pieces. But sometimes you just have to go for it. You just have to jump in. Like, so if I want to go out and buy something, I just want to jump off that bridge, and I'm afraid to do it, or I don't have the resources to do it. So I go and I get someone else to help me to make it happen. So my first building that I ever bought, I partnered with my brother, which was an amazing experience in a lot of parts.
Your
and then
brother?
It was my brother.
That can be disastrous, because
We had some challenges.
you guys have to live together for the rest of your lives.
Yes, and we're friends, thank God. But we've had some challenges back and forth. And then I've partnered with people that were outside of my family circle. And I have one partner now that I've had. God, I'm going to be married 20 years in September. To my
Congratulations.
Thank you to my amazing partner, Lena. I mean, she may tell you that we've had some ups and downs, but I think we've had exactly. But anyway, so I've had a partner for probably 30 years now, and it's been amazing. So pieces of it,
longer than you've been married.
longer than I've been married.
Wow.
So pieces of partnerships, most important, get to know the person. Okay. Go out to dinner with them, go play tennis with them, go socialize with them, learn who their friends are, learn who their family is. The more you learn about somebody, the more you know the ins and outs of who they really are.
Their true character.
It's like we're both actually, Omar and Nima were talking about scenarios where their partners didn't live up to something. So you need to know how your partner is going to react in a situation that has nothing to do with what you're doing. Because if they have a situation where, some old lady falls down in the middle of the street and you see your partner running to help that person, that's going to show you how they're going to act to you during a business
If
transaction.
they start laughing, then
If
you're
they
like,
start
what's
laughing,
going on?
right?
Or if they pushed her down.
Yes. Then you're like, oh my God, this is not the person that I want to be partners with. So adversity brings out the best or the worst in people. So trying to get that situation, go out, and if you like to drink, go out and get drunk with that person.
Oh, that'll tell you so much.
See how they act. See how they pay the bill. Are they cheap? Are they throwing money around? Do they try to leave the table and stiff you and make you pay for everything? Like, all of those things are key factors in how this partnership's going to go. But I would not be where I am today if I didn't have some amazing, amazing partnerships. So I would say all in, go for the partnerships, do it, but use them as learning experiences and make sure that you constantly improve on who you're partners with. One other thing about partnerships, warning signs or one of my biggest warnings, make sure you partner with someone that's at your level or within a reasonable level. So one of my best and oldest partners was probably had 400 times more money than I did when I started, but I was stupid and I didn't know better. Like, that guy, if something had gone wrong, he could have crushed me because he had more money than I did to fight anything that would have happened. I got really lucky and I got an honest partner. But moving on to where I am now, 20 years later, knowing more, getting more exposure, being exposed to people at higher levels. Like, if you go into a partnership and you have a contract that says XYZ, remember that contract has to be enforced legally, okay? So if I'm a partner with Target, okay? So everybody knows Target is, not everybody knows who I am.
Target's going to be able to
So Target
hold
has
out,
so
right.
much money
Right.
that even if they're 100% wrong, they can just put all that money against me and they can put me out of business with
And
the
it's
legal
not going to
fees.
even phase them.
Right. So you have to know the level. Try to get into a partnership with someone that's at that level with you. Just in case something happens, you can fight one for one on it.
I'm going to tell you, I don't believe in partnering with family at all. At all. And I'm going to tell you why. I had a best friend in 3rd grade, and yes, we started a lemonade stand.
Oh, nice. My daughter wants that.
We did eliminate. Well, we were in the city. I'm from New York City, so we were in the city. So we had high traffic areas, and
Okay.
we did our little lemonade stand, and we had brownies and everything, and we got into a fight over the brownies and how much to sell the brownies for. And I felt like I was out there because I would walk up to people and be like, "Come get our brownies," and I was in 3rd grade, so it was adorable. And people would come buy our brownies, and she just sat there, and she didn't want to give up her money for what we bought the brownies for, the brownie mix. So, and we never spoke again. Like, we stopped being friends. We got into different groups. I don't
Who
know
is she?
where
Let's
she
call
is.
her. What's her name?
I don't
What a
know,
petty
Monica. I'm like, Monica. But anyway, but that taught me actually at 7, 8 years old that can ruin a friendship
Yes.
or a really something very special to you. So I would never partner with someone who's just super uber close to me. But how do I find the partners? So let's say I don't want to partner with someone who's super uber close to me, someone who goes on vacations with me and stuff like that. You know what I mean? How do I find that person that's going to be the right person? How do I go out? I don't want to jump off the bridge by myself. I want to take someone down with me.
Closed.
How do I find the partner?
So you want to?
I think it depends on what you're looking to do, right?
Let's say in what you do, how do you find partners?
So honestly, I wasn't looking for a partner. It just kind of came about while I was doing what I would normally do. And I think it's hard. I agree, it's hard to find a partner. But if I'm flipping houses and someone comes with a great deal and they need something I could bring to the table, that's an opportunity to get into a partnership. But outside of that, I don't think I've actively looked for a partnership.
What about you? Have you ever actively looked for a partnership for something that you want to do, something that you're like, I need XYZ to help me do this. I need to look for someone.
Sure. So first, I just want to explain to everyone, you may be watching this wondering why I was signing a bunch of documents. I had a closing going on. I'm buying a property, and they're a little bit pressing me, time sensitive, so I apologize for having to do that closing on the show.
I think that we need to put out a contest. And the contest is, in every episode, find where Nima makes himself special.
Yeah.
Like, either it's the ice or the signing of important documents.
You know what it is? At the end of the day, while this is all phenomenal and all of you guys are doing stuff, I think the one thing you should learn from some of my ridiculousness is business should never stop, right? Even if you're doing something and it's fun and it has another meaning behind it or purpose, guys, your clock is ticking on the day. Just don't sit around for an hour and say, okay, that's cool. Even if you're having lunch, you should be figuring out a way how to make moves and how things need to be moving.
What if it's like 12 o'clock on a Friday night and you're making those moves? Should business stop then, or
which moves are we talking about? Those partnership
whatever
moves
you're doing at home without us?
So, all right, to your point and to your question. So no, I usually don't actively look for partners. I think I'm going to tie into a little bit with what I'm going to combine what Eric said and what Omar said. So I said a bad story because usually the bad stuff pop in. I had another partnership that was phenomenal. We made money on it, the deal, but I did 98% of the work. And I was totally fine with that. And in fact, I had such a good partner that he used to constantly come up and tell me, listen, like our 50-50 split on this doesn't make sense because you're doing all the work. And my answer always was, well, no, that was our agreement. So it doesn't matter. That's what it is. I had
Holding to the agreement.
That's how you know you have a good partner.
Yeah, I had no problem doing all the work. And when I got into it, I understood he didn't have the knowledge I did. And I chose those things. Like I chose to go get a trailer and, go to Home Depot. Well, I liked him.
What was he bringing to the table besides
capital? And really, I needed the capital on that transaction, and I trusted him, right? And he trusted me. So at the end of the day, I knew I'd be doing most of the work, but I gave it my 100. I didn't say, well, why aren't you doing this? On occasion, if I was like really time strapped, I'd be like, hey, we have this order at Home Depot. Would you mind? And it was okay if he said no, but he would step up when I asked him to. But I had no problem doing all the work. But that goes to Omar's 100. And that also goes to Eric's know the character of who you partner up with, right? Because both of us were on the same page, and neither of us at the end of it were petty in terms of thinking, well, I did more work, so I should have more money. We made a deal in the beginning of the project, and whatever happened in between that was the deal. And you live up to it, and you just have that 100 mentality, and it's great. With that being said, no, I don't look for partnerships. I think that sometimes partnerships they arise out of necessity. At a certain level you're at, the only time really partnerships develop is when people are doing multiple projects and you just don't want to pass up on a project. So you have to bring in like-minded people. And in that situation, I think partnerships are advantageous because it gives you access to more capital. It gives you more buying power that you don't otherwise have.
And half the pie is better than no pie.
Exactly.
Right?
And you just want to make sure that whoever you're doing it with isn't petty, right? Like money has a value, relationships have value, access has value. At the end of the day, everyone needs to sort of respect that. And you'd be surprised, typically when people are on the same level or like-minded, they'll end up finding a way to balance it out and there won't be much argument. Everyone understands capital needs a return. Everyone understands that relationships have value. Everything sort of balances itself out, at a certain point on a certain level. If you're sitting there, excuse me, allergy season. If you're sitting there counting or nickeling and diming, you guys aren't getting killed the last couple of days?
Not
No.
yet.
Is this going to be a plug for like Zyrtec right now?
No, I'm not connected to Zyrtec. But if you were injured in a Zyrtec accident,
If you partnered with Zyrtec, then we could hold it up right here.
yeah. So you
We need more subscribers.
like
for that.
don't sit there and count your pennies because that's not how a partnership is healthy or successful.
Correct.
Because then you begin developing animosity, and you're going to end up losing more money than you're going to make. You have to go in with Omar's mindset and with Eric's thought process. So Eric explained to all of you what he did with some Sun Tzu stuff, right? He was all about breaking down your true character in the most vulnerable. When there's no money on the line and everyone's wearing their business bow tie, so to say, when he's out there, you're out there just hanging out. You see people's character for who they really are.
having a little scotch, right?
Yeah, and that does end up rolling over into how they act or behave in business. So, if you do get to know someone and you're comfortable enough to deal with them, you should know how they're going to react. Like my partnership that went bad, I must be an idiot not to think it would have gone bad because I knew the guy's character. I knew his personality. He's a great person. And as a friend, I still like him tremendously, although we don't talk anymore.
Sure.
Our just personalities did not mesh well in a business setting, right?
So why'd you do it?
He asked me to,
Okay.
right? So he was a friend and he asked me to, and I thought I
you're
could add
wiser.
value.
Everything is a learning experience. There's
True.
never a
Everything is
problem.
learning.
Yeah. So I've over the years, as I've gotten more successful, And honestly, COVID changed me a lot. I've become far more comfortable telling people no, and I've been far more comfortable losing relationships, right?
Because you realized you didn't actually need all of the relationships that you had, probably.
No, I think you always need relationships.
I'm not saying you don't need them, but during COVID, we became more insular, right?
I can live without them.
Right. I can live without the 10 million friends that I have and just stick with my core.
Yeah, and then
I
also
believe that.
priorities change as in different stages in life too. Like I hope a lot of you people watching this podcast, not hope, if a lot of you are in your 20s and you're beginning your grind, your priorities are completely different. Once you get a little bit older, you've got a couple projects under your belt, you have children, your priorities also change, right? They become your priorities. Your money aspect changes. You're no longer thinking about making 100 grand and spending 25 grand on a private jet to go on a trip, right? You're gonna spend 100 grand and you're gonna either invest it or you're gonna put it into long-term accounts for your kids' college fund. Like just your whole mentality
Priorities
changes.
change.
Yeah, and your priorities change, right? So at the end of the day, unless you're Omar, and then you just got to pay for all the dates he goes on. That needs its
I was
own
about to
escrow
say,
fund.
I'm working towards making 100 grand and spending 25 on the private jet.
I'm just giving a hypothetical out there.
Let's
They used to be 12 grand.
we were
thanks to
talking
COVID.
about how to find those partners. And these guys are saying that they're not
I will
looking.
tell you.
Okay,
Okay.
tell us.
If you tell us Craigslist or swipe
No
left,
Craigslist. No.
Omar's like bad partner,
No
bad
Tinder,
partner,
no
bad
Craigslist.
RE
partner.
Tinder?
It's really, you really have to just.
We should create that.
RE Tinder.
We talked about creating that. So anyway, we'll talk about
And
that.
if anyone steals their idea, we will sue you because we thought of it here.
Anyway,
Got a lawyer.
so
How do I find?
no, I-
Now he's scared about giving out our proprietary information.
How do we find the partner?
basically the way that I found all of my partnerships was through the normal course of business. So I was doing business. I would meet people. I would learn about people. I would rent something. I would buy something. I would make friends through networking. So some of my partners are some of my best friends. So while we talk about don't partner with your friends or family, if that friend becomes your friend through business, then I think it's okay
Because you
to
know
have
the way
a
they're going to
partnership.
act. You know what
because
they're
you
gonna do.
started your relationship in a business venue. If that friend is your friend, and then you go and they're not in your business, and then you become the partner, that's a little bit more difficult because they're not in your same field. Like where Nima had that partner that maybe wasn't in that same field with him. If I meet Omar or Adam or Nima or Noelle in a business capacity, and then we become friends over the years, and then that leads to a partnership, we already know that we're in the same world.
And that makes
Yeah.
more sense.
Yes. So that would be the way that I would pursue it. Build your network, build your contact list, get out there, talk to people, talk about the things that you like to do, see who else likes to do that thing. And then, maybe you're out on a Thursday night at a networking event at a Chamber of Commerce with people in this world.
But and we're gonna get to finding people in residential. But I just want to say, what if I have this amazing deal and I know it's amazing, and I've done the numbers that Omar talks about in the Burr class at recareercenter.com/product/Burr.
April 6th.
201-880.
Coming up, April 6th.
But
Quick,
April
throw your
6th.
cell phone number in too, Adam.
So you're basically
But
saying,
I'm saying
Zoom
I
in
know
on my
it's
card.
an amazing deal, and I need to find someone who's going to lend
so
me
you have
capital.
no connections.
So I mean, I just
Zero.
know I
You
have
haven't.
zero
So a
connection.
deal falls in your lap, and because you're
And I
paying
need to find
attention,
someone.
you realize it's
Right.
a deal.
How do I find
So
that
that's
person?
really difficult because you don't want to find the wrong person.
Yeah.
You
So
can blow up a good deal.
You could blow up a good deal. So sometimes something like that would be better to wholesale, where you're selling it to someone else, and Omar can touch on that, because that way you're still making your money, but you're not like in the deal and you're not worried about all those deal points because it's just transactional and it's like you're throwing it to someone, they're going to pay you and you're done. But you have to find people in your world. If you don't know anyone in your world, it's
Get out
super
there and meet
hard.
people.
You have to get out, go to networking events, and if you're looking, like Noelle says, if you even are starting to look for deals or opportunities in your life in that world, whatever it is, real estate or restaurants or whatever it is, then get into that world. Go put yourself in those networking groups. Go learn about that. Tell us about wholesaling, why that would
What's
help.
wholesaling?
Can I ask you a question, though? Something
No,
you just
fine.
said? So how do you get into that world?
Networking. I mean, you can go to events. You can,
It's called drinking.
No, honestly. So you bring up a really good point. But what you're talking about is getting access to capital, right?
Yep.
Which is very hard. Like enter a world where people are willing to give you their money. And from in your experience, having started from the bottom and climbing to the top, how could you tell people, like, it's easy to say get into that
So
world. How would you explain
so I'm not the one to ask that question. Actually, Omar is going to answer this question. I made my own money.
That's a good point.
Okay. Omar actually did this.
So I think in the course of business, if you come across a deal, if you're in the real estate space, you'll meet other real estate people. You can't operate in a vacuum.
But how do you do it if you're like, how do you get to start meeting those real estate
Yes,
people? What did
you
do?
started with nothing,
Yeah,
and you
so-
all of a sudden were like, oh my God, I have these opportunities, I need money. You did this.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is I used to go to real estate clubs, real estate networking events. Not to say I met anyone there I partnered with.
Studio 54 is now RE54.
Clubs, lounges.
We're going to do that soon, hopefully.
And then I kind of just as you get more into it, the more you talk about it, the more like-minded people you attract, and there's truth to that. And then when I came across an opportunity and I needed to partner or find funding with someone, I asked around. I asked
did?
everybody. Yeah, so it wasn't specific to the real estate clubs. When I needed funding, I asked my friends, I asked some family members, I asked for referrals, and I just literally went person to person.
And you were just vocal about it, which is, what we tell
Yeah,
real estate
yeah.
agents to do when they first start.
Yep.
Be
How did
vocal
you-
about it.
How did you ask them?
I told them that
Give me
I
some
have
money.
Yeah.
Money, 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 money.
well, it was a challenge. but-
All joking aside, right? It's an awkward conversation. How do you go up to someone, whether it's a friend or a complete stranger? Like, what was your pitch to, hey, give me money? Why should I deserve money?
You're right, and that's exactly it.
Can I
So
have some
part of
more?
it was
Can I have some more, sir?
part of it was understanding that if you're in real estate investments, you have to have this financing arm
No, it's
as
great.
part of your everyday
Christmas
pitch.
story?
And I didn't realize that at
Dickens
first.
one.
But as you come across good deals, you have to understand that real estate people talk about money. It's just part of your normal conversation. So when I would talk to people, I would tell them, do you have money sitting in the bank? Do you have money sitting in your 401k account? What do you plan to do with it?
Let me steal your retirement.
Let me invest your retirement and give you returns that you wouldn't otherwise get in your retirement account.
So what was like the reaction you would get, right? Because walking up to a stranger saying, hey, what's in your 401k almost sounds like a con, but it's not, right? Because you're a real
right.
person making real returns. Like, how would you recommend for everyone watching to feel comfortable or make that pitch, to break that barrier, to talk to people about giving them money?
So the first deal I had, I wasn't able to raise money, just to be clear. It wasn't easy at all. In fact, everyone I spoke to said no, because I had no experience. But slowly, after I made money on the first deal, I put all my money into the next deal. I had skin in the game. And then I went to my close
And you
friends.
were like, ha, see, I made money.
To an extent, this is real. And then from that point forward, I asked my closest friends, and I don't hold it against people if they say no. Everyone has their different levels of risk, but I got a few referrals, and people gave me as little as 25 grand here, 25 grand there, and I gave them great returns. I gave them above average returns, which sacrificed profit on my end, but it helped me snowball into a lot of other referrals.
It helps you build credibility. So
Yeah.
what Omar did is he started out with nothing. He went to people that may not have had any experience in this, and instead of asking for a partnership per se, where you and I are signing on something together, it's kind of more along the lines of what Adam did with partnering with other brokers or attorneys. He literally just borrowed money from these people.
Yeah.
So that was more of a financial partnership than an actual deal partnership.
Right.
That's a different type of partnership. But what he did is he gave away more than he should have. But what it did is it built him a
Right.
resume.
Trust.
Yeah.
So now on deal
Credibility.
2, he already had a successful
Right.
deal 1.
Yeah.
So, as
Right.
you move up that success ladder, your value is better.
Adam,
Yes.
I want to
Noelle.
sort of be. We do have a lot of real estate agents who watch this, and as we know, most real estate agents are. You guys both went on your phone when I started talking. Come on.
I had a-
Come on.
We're listening.
So you.
I had a lead on a property in Ridgewood. You want me to share with you?
3 bedrooms.
Two bath,
4
10%
bedrooms.
under market?
We'll talk.
Adam, quick search.
Anyway.
I'll see you guys.
But we know we have a lot of real estate agents
Yes.
and residential real estate agents who watch this. Tell me, you probably have people who are coming to you all the time
right.
saying, I'm a great mortgage person, I'm a great title person, I do this. How do you vet them? How do you decide who you're going to work with?
So, it's taken years. So everybody I work with right now is somebody that I've built up a relationship with. And at some point you have to give somebody a chance, right? If you're looking to expand, you have to kind of go out there. You have to be willing to just try new people if you're looking to kind of expand your network.
So you're like a real estate swinger.
Try
I'm a
before
real
you
estate
buy.
swinger, yeah, pretty much.
Try before you buy. Try before you buy.
Once again, I'm sorry if you're watching, to my wife, but it really is like so. I partnered very closely with like a lender, for instance, and we did a lot of things together before we actually partnered together. I would just throw her deals, she would give me some deals, and we just worked very well together. And we realized that we work 24 hours a day, and we work really hard. We just like what we do, and we're good at what we do.
And you found that you had the same type of working style.
Exactly. So that led to a partnership between the two of us. But it's just about getting out there and just swinging, I guess, right? It's a
Swing and a miss.
yeah.
For me.
You're gonna have a lot of swing and a misses, though. You're gonna have a lot of people.
Just look for the pineapple.
So nothing,
Upside down pineapple.
Nothing that you do is actually put on paper. You don't make any kind of agreements, right?
Sometimes we do.
Really?
Sometimes they're more. It depends. Yeah.
Okay.
We've all seen 50 Shades of Grey. We know you can make a contract.
I was going to ask you, Nima, what
I'm
is this?
blushing.
No,
This episode is
This is GP13.
spicy.
yeah, right. There's gonna be a little explicit sign on
So
there.
what are the different types of partnerships that people form legally? Like what are you? I mean,
there's the good ones and the bad ones.
Have to have a LLC?
The ones that make you money and the ones that don't.
Does everything have to form a separate LLC, or do you have to what?
So-
what
That's
do
a
you
good
do?
question. So how would someone new who wants to partner, how would they go about doing it?
Right,
Is
legally.
it straight to the LLC operating agreement, or is
Is
there
it
some
straight
more
to
to
that?
it?
Sure.
Tell us, Nima.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Tell us
so,
the
so,
steps.
guys, without really going into explaining it legally, this is not legal advice. It's just a general outline. The term partnership is just thrown out without really appreciating what it means. So, if me and Adam have an LLC together and we buy a property, we're not partners, right? We're members in a company with our share. Partnership law and limited liability corporate law and corporate law are three separate things. New Jersey has a partnership can be created by two like-minded people getting into an investment together. Is
it a legal partnership?
there's a statute defined for that, and it defines the terms of that partnership if you don't have it in writing, right? If you guys do it, I would recommend, without knowing the terms of the deal. Again, I can't. This is not like a universal suggestion,
Right.
but typically I find LLCs to be better vessels because you guys can turn around and define your relationship in writing, which should always be done because it's really hard to fight after the fact if you have a written document that says, "Hey, these are our roles," right? So if someone's not doing it, it's not a fight. It just we agreed. Let's figure out how to fix it. Then you have a limited liability company. Then your members, you can add and subtract members. You're not partners. And most operating agreements for LLCs will say that you're not partners. And operating agreements are necessary because just going online and creating an LLC is not enough. And when you get these websites like Rocket Lawyer, they give you operating agreements, but they're these boilerplate things that really are not what
So
you
you
guys
don't
should rely on.
suggest any of
No,
that.
if you're going to
Okay.
do a real estate project, go to a lawyer, pay a couple $1,000. It could be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000.
Because you could lose a whole lot more.
Yeah, listen. People who you spend more money fighting after than you do paying for it to be structured right in the first place. And even if you don't have an LLC, though, there is a separate statute for how limited liability companies are governed. It's called the Revised Uniform Limited Liability Act, which was changed sometime circa, I want to say 2014 or 13. And we mimic a lot of Delaware's rules. And then you have a corporation, which is different from all of them because there's a lot more layers in corporate governance that is implemented with authority being needed in different manners. So most people, even lawyers, just willy-nilly use the term partners, and that means two people doing something together. I'm going to add a fourth element to that really I can't explain on just this podcast. But let's assume Adam and I want to go buy a property together, right?
Aw, your first house.
It better have a white picket fence, and your wife better not have a problem with our co. But anyway, so let's assume we want to buy this house together, and we're not doing it in an LLC. We're partners. We're just going to say, listen, let's put it under both our names, right? That's kind of the quick way to just do it.
Is that dangerous? Like I mean, is that a liability to do it that way? Just put both your names on it. What if something happens? Then you're just as much.
Sure, we'll discuss that. That's a great quick liability question, and I can answer that. But I think maybe we should have an entire podcast on that because that's a really really important thing to talk about.
On liability.
Yeah, but I'll leave it to you if you want me to answer it. I will. But,
No. Keep continue what you're
but to
saying.
the point with Adam, look, you guys will just get a deed and assume, okay, well, we both co-own it. That's not the case. So there's two types of ownership on a property, and this includes your wife or spouse, right? You have tenants in common, right? And you have joint tenants. And those two things mean two completely separate things. One of them means that you're both 100% owners. Another means that you could both be 50% owners. And it talks about what happens if one person passes away. It doesn't go to whoever they delegate. Their share gets vested entirely into the other person. So, even down to that, if you're buying a partner and your lawyer, whoever you're talking to, is not asking you the structure in which you want that purchase to be done, like, you have a problem, right? So even if you're buying something with your spouse, you should ask and you should look into, are you tenants in common or joint tenants in partnership? Two completely different things, two completely different terms.
Agreed. So you bring up a
all
very.
of our students at the Center for Real Estate Education should know those terms because I
So
know we go.
Nima brings up really good points here. So it's really easy to get into a partnership. It's really easy to both sign on a paper and to buy something, but it's really that behind the scenes stuff that's important. And everybody's super excited when they're buying that property and when they're getting into that first relationship. But always spend the time, spend the money to get it put in writing because things do change. And unless you know someone, or if you have that, if you really dated that person for a long time where you know how they're going to react, you can't not do it in writing. I've done it. I've done all the different scenarios. I've trusted people. I've said, we're going to get this in writing later. And
Always blows up in your face.
it always blows up in your face. When you have those long-term relationships, you could do anything. I've had millions of dollars change hands, all with a handshake. With my long-term trusted relationships, I've never had any issues.
But that's a unique situation.
Yeah.
Eric's not saying that to all. Like, this is someone that he's done business with probably for years. That's
Or just spent a lot of time with. So as I've gotten older, I've realized, and my wife has always been there on my shoulder, like approving or disapproving people. So always listen to your wife. That's number one.
I agree with that, David.
Yeah.
As a law firm that handles family law, I don't agree with that at all.
But if someone, it's important if you're going to be partners with that person, get the families together, get to know them, let your wife meet them, let your spouse, your husband meet them, whoever it is, let that other person meet them, get that feedback. Because if you're married, right? So I'm married, I've been married for 20 years. If I'm partners with Noelle, if something happens to me, guess what? My wife and Noelle are now partners.
True.
Okay?
That's true.
So you got to look at the big picture. You got to understand all the components, especially if it's something that's going to be long term. But get it in writing, get it figured out, get it understood.
To Eric's point, guys, so the greatest partnership that you're going to have in your entire life is not monetary related. It is your spouse. And Eric insinuated this, but he may not have said it directly. It's also important because if you see how a man treats his spouse in the good and the bad, because everybody fights, everybody argues, but if you see how a man interacts with his spouse or vice
Or a
versa,
woman, for that matter, right?
a woman with their spouse, you'll probably see how they'll
Or a
interact
person.
with you in business, right? Because that's when what Eric said earlier is going out with people and understanding the nature of their character in the most vulnerable personal setting. That's when that kicks in. Because if you see that they're unkind, if you see that they're abusive, if you see that, they're short-sighted, they're probably going to treat you the same way once that honeymoon phase ends in the partnership and it becomes a regular marriage and you're not.
Let's talk about the divorce. How do you? What's
we're
your
not ready
exit?
for a divorce.
No, not your partner, but what's the exit strategy if you are in these partnerships, whether it's been formalized through writing or it's not?
What's
how
that
do you
rap
get
song?
out?
It's like I got prenup. Who sings that?
Kanye.
Yeah. I may have baited that answer. But
Omar is dating, so that's like.
Yeah. So
I was like,
guys, what's your operating agreement?
right, but what if you don't have one? How do you get out? Like, what are the ways that
Can
you?
we name
how have you
celebrities who have
exited?
lost half their shit?
Yeah.
We're not having
No,
a
we have
prenup.
to talk about how we
We could do a
how
whole
you
thing.
dive
on-
Jeff
out.
Bezos.
We can do a whole podcast
Right?
on dissolution of partnerships. We're not here
It's
for
that
that.
big.
Yeah, it's huge.
It can be.
today.
Wow.
But to your point, Noelle, I think I went through this as well. When you try to partner with someone, when it came time to look at the operating agreement and review the terms, it was so intimidating. I canceled the partnership just because of that.
Really?
Yeah. So we used to. It was with these other investors I was working closely with. They were friends. They were doing deals, and the plan was for me to be broker, open an office, so on and so forth. Everything was good until we got to the operating agreement, and they didn't want to answer the questions that I had. and then I don't know anything about an operating
Red
agreement.
flag.
Yeah, how much am
Huge
I going
red
to pay
flag.
an
Yeah.
attorney to sit down and go through every line of an operating agreement? So
But why would you why would you even need to, right? If you are entering a partnership, the operating agreement should be pretty clear what everyone's roles are. If it becomes that intensive and that
Yeah.
complicated, they're hedged. And I'm telling you guys this as a lawyer, they're hedging for failure and they're hedging to be able to
have an
wipe you
advantage.
out.
Yeah.
You know, Einstein said if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Things should be simple.
Nice.
That is
And
a good one, right?
even if you
We
don't
make real estate simple here. at the
Yeah.
Center for Real Estate.
Make real estate simple.
and if you're dealing with someone that is overcomplicating it, they can protect themselves and still have a simple document, right? They just don't want you to understand. They don't want you to know that you're getting the shaft.
Yeah.
And Omar made a good point. He should have walked on that scenario because it would not have ended well.
He did walk.
That's good.
Yeah, because operating agreements are intimidating.
You know, I shouldn't have said should have. Omar made a good point by walking. Should have was the wrong word.
So we've had a lot of back and forth here, but let me tell you that life is about having experiences. And if there's a goal or a direction you want to head in real estate specific or in anything, you want to open a restaurant, you want to open a business. If you can't do it on your own, but you really want to do it, sometimes partnerships are the way to go.
Yeah.
As I said, I've had probably 10 to 20 different partnerships. I still have some amazing partnerships that have lasted for years. Those partnerships have made me a better person. They've given me experiences and opportunities that I would never have had. So I am all about partnerships, 2,000,000% about partnerships. It's just learning who to partner with, learning the pitfalls, and again, it's all about dating that partner before you commit.
Also, people have different experiences. So if you don't know a ton about one thing, your partner might have that kind of knowledge. And you always need people who are actually interested to
Yeah.
bounce things off
Yes.
of.
Sure.
Because I can go to my friends all day long, but they may not care about a real estate school. That might
Yeah.
not be what they want to talk about. You know what I mean? So having that person that you can go through everything, you can get that second opinion on, is priceless.
And it's fun. Like, who doesn't want to have fun with more than themselves, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to have fun by
Right.
themselves.
You can have fun by yourself, but
Well,
Oh,
that's a whole other podcast, Noelle. Thanks
In
for
honor of your fiance, who I've met, he takes umbrage.
Yeah, but having someone to celebrate your successes with, and someone having someone to discuss challenges with, or
Catherine thought
things
that
to
was
over.
funny.
Thanks, Catherine. Or things to overcome. Like, partnerships are amazing, and again, my partners today are some of my best friends in life,
I
and
agree.
I wouldn't change it any other way. And I think it's amazing. So just figure out the steps to get there. Talk to people. Ask people who've had successful partnerships. Ask people that have had unsuccessful partnerships. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, and when it comes to a partnership, I could just add, be honest, right? Put everything out in front in the beginning, because if something has been said, you know, it's out there. It's not an issue after the fact, right? Just put it out there, put your terms out there. Don't be embarrassed, or like at the end of the day, figure out your terms in advance, because then it's very easy to follow because you're both on the same page before it happened, right? Like, put out there your expectations. And my recommendation would be, don't get into a partnership if you're not willing to bend or be reasonable.
Compromise.
Compromise.
Right?
That's for
Because
everything.
it's just not going to work, right? Both people, being in a business partnership really is the same as being in a marriage.
And
Like,
Adam, you know all about compromise.
I do.
he's going to have to compromise a lot when he gets home after today's podcast.
Bouncy house.
You're going to be eating some Chinese food from your main street for the next like 6 months, bro.
Compromising to make deals.
Yeah, no, you sometimes have to. You have to. When it comes to a deal, it's all about give and take. Same thing with your relationship. Same thing with your marriage or your spouse or whatever it might be.
Even harder.
But it's all
You
about.
buy your business partner a Cartier watch.
You could.
You could.
You can.
That'd be an awkward. I'm sorry, no, man. I bought you this wonderful feminine watch made of pure gold.
Catherine has a question. She says, "This has been so interesting. Thank you, Catherine. You all have developed a good gut instinct for what works. Do you
We've
feel
developed a good gut.
No gastrointestinal problems here, guys.
Do you feel you came to real estate with this, or was it developed by being in the field? Does real estate develop that gut instinct?
Can I? You want to answer?
Go for it first.
I'm only going to answer if you leave a positive
right,
comment.
hold on.
on YouTube.
So, life is a lesson, So no matter what college you go to, whether it's Princeton or Pace University that I went to, or Ramapo or Bergen Community College, we can only teach, or schools can only teach so much. It's the experiences in life that actually get you somewhere. So the reason that I can talk about things so specifically today, it's because I've experienced the goods, the bads, the uglies, the amazings. I've had the ups, I've had the downs. I can't say I've had a lot of losses, but I've had some disappointments, but I've had a lot of successes. So, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to go to Nima or Omar or Adam and be like, 400 questions, right? To the point where he's like, all right, get the hell away from me.
Right.
But I'm not afraid to ask those questions because that's what helps me make the decision. So it's just, try before you buy, try those discussions, have them, and then eventually you'll figure it out.
School hard knock.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up, but I want to go around the table, and I just want to have a yes or no partnerships. Yes for these guys. Out
Eric's
there,
laughing because he
no.
knows I'm not capable of yes or no. He's like, this guy played himself.
Yes or no.
No. I know
This
the
is a
answer.
trick question
I know the
designated to
answer.
target me.
I know the answer has to be a yes.
All right, well, what are we going to say?
Adam.
I say yes.
You say yes.
I say yes. For the right partnership, it works out.
Wait, what's the question?
So he doesn't.
Partnership, yes or no?
Partnerships, a yes or
Is-
no for all of our viewers.
Is
for our
Nima
viewers.
handsome or not?
Yes. Aww.
Just kidding.
That's because I said, if I said yeah.
But yes, I do agree. I think partnerships are a good way to go. Just know who you're partnering up with.
And especially for agents, when you're partnering with the different vendors that you use.
Yeah, when you're partnering with a
Right.
lender, an attorney, just know who you're partnering up with, and just know that you mesh well and you work well together.
Right.
And you're going to have times when it doesn't work out, and you're going to have to end the relationship and move on.
Okay. Omar?
I would say yes, and I'll end with saying that when I first started in real estate, I would have partnered with someone if the deal was great, but now I would only partner with someone if they have a good character, and then we make the deal good. So
Okay.
my views have changed.
Yeah, I would say yeah too. And, I would say yeah in a 2-part series. I would say if it is a deal that is, and this is, we didn't even touch on this, if it's a sub like $500,000 deal, it's a short little quick flip, probably not. You have to calculate what your margins are and if it makes sense to bring in a partner, right? Because that's when you have less margins, more room for error, and it's a lot more intense. But I would say absolutely. And the reason for that universally is, guys, you have far more buying power if you're splitting money,
Yeah.
right? So if instead of buying one property, you can own 2 at 50%. You can own 3 at 25%.
And there's also less risk for each property. Because if you only have a 50% ownership in that property and something goes wrong, you don't have as much risk because you're kind of diversifying among several
especially in
properties.
commercial, because
Last word.
So
We got it.
not the
Sorry,
less
didn't mean to
risk.
cut you
no,
off.
you're right. I was saying
Less
commercial.
risk.
You're,
It's
you're dead
more.
right.
It's more fun if you're going to take a mortgage for $6.5 million. It's more fun to do that with someone else than it is to do it by yourself.
Very true.
So I'm all about partnerships. Go for it. Try it. Make your dreams happen.
So, just
If
so
you visualize
know,
it-
Wait, no, not yet, not yet, not yet. I'll give you the
Someone
cue.
quoted Forrest Gump
Wait,
here too,
wait,
by the way.
listen, guys,
Life is like a box of
guys,
chocolates, like we've been talking about
Subscribe,
life.
YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of that good stuff, Apple Podcasts, and
Email us with questions. But anyway, if you visualize it, you can own it.
yes, you can. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.